Hello and welcome to all of you to the 2021 Little League Baseball and Softball season. On behalf of the Central Region Umpire Advisory Committee, we hope you, your families, and everyone else are safe and healthy, and that you guys are doing well, and that everyone is excited to go ahead and get back on the diamonds here in 2021. My name is Stu Hartenstein, and I'm excited to be here with my fellow members of the Central Region Umpire Advisory Committee. We got Pat Griffin here today with us from Michigan, Greg Ramos from Indiana, and also Seth Worland from Indiana. I'm excited to have them here today to share our focal points for 2021. I'll go ahead and share my screen with you, and that way we can go ahead and see what exactly we should be working on as a group of umpires here in the Central Region. So that way we can all improve day by day, game by game here together. Go ahead and share my screen here with everyone. All right. So these focal points here for 2021 are really our points of emphasis, mechanics points of emphasis, things then that we should go ahead and focus on as we take the diamonds as both leaders in our communities and then ultimately crew chiefs and things of that nature as well on the diamond too. So the purpose of our focal points, why do we want to choose these? Well, number one, these focal points allow umpires here, our umpires in our region, to have a set of guiding principles to be used when self-reflecting upon our own performance and or providing feedback to our fellow umpires. So there's something then that grounds our conversations and what exactly we are trying to do on the diamond each and every game. Our intention in these focal points is to give umpires these points of concentration to take onto the field with them each game so that all of us continue to develop, to self-reflect and evaluate on our own individual progress and that of our partners in a genuine, structured, and specific manner. Now there's 5 of them, and Greg will go ahead and take us through each of these 5 focal points to frame our work here in 2021.
Thank you, Stu. Our 5 focal points that we want to talk about tonight for the 2021 season are: we want to use 2021 to sharpen our habits, our fundamentals, and our skills. We will discuss in detail the proper use of eyes. We are going to talk about chest to ball. We're going to talk about wedge progression. If you have seen some of the stuff we've done on wedge in the last couple of years, it's not exactly the same as it was when we first started to talk about it here in the Central Region. And number 5, being a supportive partner and displaying empathy. We feel like during these not so great times, this is something that really needs to be discussed, and we're going to talk about that towards the end of our presentation.
The last thing to think about here, major theme-wise, before we go ahead and get started with a lot of these, is that so many of us have goals, obviously, in umpiring, and goals are definitely important. But 2021, because of the irregularity that we had in 2020, and then really the unknown here that sits in front of us in 2021, it's not a season really to worry about tracking our progress toward advancement, but rather it's an opportunity for us to focus really on just being an asset to our local league, our community, and your own home district. So 2021 is first off and foremost a year to enjoy being back on the diamond, being back with your fellow umpires, being back in your community, and working strong to build those relationships. Second, it's also a year then to really focus and take advantage of opportunity to build back the fundamentals and habits we've all worked so hard to go ahead and establish throughout our careers, while also, as Greg just mentioned, remaining supportive of all entities in Little League Baseball and all our fellow umpires as well. First major focal point here for us to go ahead and talk about here is sharpening your habits, skills, and fundamentals. And again, this is a great opportunity for us here in 2021 to make sure then here that we are getting back to what got us where we are or where we really want to go. So here we are all excited to be back on the diamond, but just realize here that it's going to take some time to knock the rust off. Some of us worked a regular amount of games last year. Some of us didn't work very many games. Some of us worked games that were really just glorified scrimmages. So realize that as competition heats back up, those players are going to be a little bit rusty, but so too are you. So it's important to be patient, and we can be patient and improve by focusing then on fundamentals. We're not going to be able to pick up where we left off at in 2019. So if you were somebody that was vying for a World Series in 2020 and now in 2021 or at an advancement, just realize and give yourself some grace that in order to get back to where you want to be, we've got to rebuild those habits. And it's going to be very difficult to seamlessly apply what we've picked up on in virtual clinics and things like that throughout 20 and now 2021. So just give yourself some time, give yourself some grace, and really then focus on these simple things here. And I think that's a major theme that a lot of people will get out of these focal points here too. A great time to, as I mentioned, refocus and obsess over the fundamentals that we learned early in our career, not only to help pass those on to people that we're going to help mentor, but also to make sure that we can get ourselves back to where we want to be on the diamond. And I think the biggest thing here to think about here with regards to these habits and fundamentals is this key point that the more we can take advantage of the simple and routine plays, the quicker we'll build back those habits so that when things get exciting, get close, and the chips are on the table, so to speak, we default back to those habits. So really want us to focus on here in 2021, taking time to build back your habits, your skills, and your fundamentals that are really our grounding place. And that way we can default back to those as we go ahead and try and continue to get back into the swing of things here in 2021. Now, I've got some examples of what exactly we can do here. So, Seth, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so talking about our pregame conferences is the first part, basically of any game as far as I'm concerned, before you even get on the field. Getting in touch with your partner a couple days before, letting them know you're going to be there, what time you're going to be there, maybe what car you're driving, where you're going to park. And then when you guys get there and start getting dressed, start discussing, the potential situations that could happen in the game. Talk about your fair foul responsibilities, your catch, no catch responsibilities, when you're rotating, when you're not rotating, various other responsibilities, tag ups, tags and rundowns, base touches, who's responsible for base runners touching which bases at what times, communicating on the field and off the field. And then also something that you're going to work on for your partner to watch, and you guys can each watch each other work different positions and be able to give that feedback when you guys get off the field.
So revisiting plate mechanics, one of the things that I would encourage everybody to do, a lot of us didn't work last year. One of the things that I think you should probably do is check your equipment. Make sure you're all set and ready to go. If you've got to buy any new equipment, now's the time to do that before we get it going into the season. Once you're working the game, some of the things to focus on, the pre-pitch cadence, proper footwork to align in the slot. That's going to be very important. Tracking is going to be probably one of the tougher things. A lot of us haven't seen pitches in quite a while. So tracking those pitches in, making sure we're seeing the ball all the way in. Your head height, and also setting up at the proper time. All this is going to be critical moving forward.
Review the basics of the two umpire system: positioning, angle and distance, clean and crisp mechanics, proper views of eyes, and communication.
Just making sure that we have a list of definitely some habits here to focus on just from start to finish. And I think, again, as Seth mentioned here, there are some individual things that you may be focusing on. Share those with your partners, and whether they be in plate mechanics, as Pat mentioned, or in base mechanics, as Greg mentioned too. Just some definitely things to be aware of here. And I think this fourth point is really important because the intensity at which we take this stuff on mentally is really important. And we must make sure that we can attack each pitch and each play with the focus and confidence we need to execute this stuff at a higher level. We talk sometimes about this quote thing called a Lamedy mentality, that if your goal is to do a World Series or your goal is to be in a state tournament and have a state championship or something like that, that's not a light switch you can just turn on. So these are all habits that we have to build in the routine plays. So to come back to the key point here, and this is a theme that we'll continue to address, with all these habits, and as we continue to try and build these, we have got to take advantage of the routine plays. And even those routine plays, as you see here, deserve our best if we truly want to build a foundation of winning habits that are going to set us up for success at a district tournament, a league championship, a state tournament, a World Series final, whatever it might be. So if that's where you want to go, first start with the habits, and this is a great season here to go ahead and start with those habits. Last quote I'll leave you here with regards to the habit series, a really good one from James Clear, an author of the book Atomic Habits. It says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your habits," which basically means here that we need to make sure we beef up our habits. That way our habits and our goals align, and we can get back to where we want to be or where we want to go here in our avocation. Greg, on to you for proper use of eyes.
Okay. So proper use of eyes is intentionally using our eyes to gather all necessary information to make a decision. Think about cameras, when we had cameras, but think about snapshots, because we are still taking snapshots with your phones. It's a skill that allows us to see everything we need to see. When you see it, process the information, get all the information you can get all the information that's available to you. Make a decision, make your best decision based on what we observe purposefully. Why is the proper use of eyes so important? Literally every play demands proper use of eyes, pitches, force plays, and tag plays. Catch, no catch, fair foul, hit by pitch, illegal pitches, balks, charged conferences, and home runs. Proper use of eyes equals proper timing. Poor timing is a symptom of not using our eyes properly. If you want to improve your timing, improve your use of eyes. That is something you really, really want to start nailing down your first game, especially if you have not worked in 2 years like me. If someone tells you your timing is quick, what they're saying is that you are not using your eyes properly, because if you're not using your eyes properly, your timing is going to go by the wayside. They are synonymous with each other.
Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple different clips here with regards to proper use of eyes so we can see some of those examples, particularly as to why exactly proper use of eyes is so important. And I think we can definitely understand that our use of eyes is necessary to gather information. But what's also important, as Greg mentioned here, is that proper use of eyes is what gives us proper timing. So proper use of eyes is a function of proper timing, and the clips in the next slides here that we'll talk through, we'll definitely go ahead and share that with us. Here we have a play at the plate, and as you can see here, it's a pretty obvious play. So when we talk about taking advantage of the easy routine plays, this is what we mean to build those habits. A very easy call. The catcher has the baseball right here. Tag is made. Very clearly, this runner is out. The play's not even close. But take a look at our umpire. Where are his eyes? His eyes are very clearly on the tag. And then as we see this catcher bring the ball up, the catcher releases the ball. We have voluntary release. Where are our umpire's eyes? Well, they are right on that voluntary release. So when we talk about proper use of eyes, in this case with regards to a tag play, it is confirming firm and secure possession by this fielder before we even make a play. So as we see in this play unfold, the umpire has allowed his eyes to take snapshots, as Greg mentioned, of the play, gather all that information, and then finally to get his timing, he confirms firm and secure possession first, and then goes ahead and makes his out call. Great timing demonstrated there. Here's an example of a proper use of eyes on an infield hit. Okay, so, or I'm sorry, on a fly ball to the outfield. So here, our U3 goes out and tracks and chases. And as you see, this ball kind of sails on the left fielder. Take a look at the timing of our umpire here. So he's down the left-hand corner of the screen. His eyes are obviously on the catch. Fielder falls to the ground, so this is a good track and chase by this umpire. We allow that fielder to bring the ball up. And then finally here, we confirm firm and secure possession with our eyes, and then go ahead and rule the out. Again, timing is a function of proper use of eyes. Confirm firm and secure possession, even on the routine ones. And again, this is a product or a function of proper use of eyes. Infield hit here in this case. And again, a seemingly innocuous play, right? Just a double off play here, this force play. But again, that throw is kind of tailing and bringing the second baseman a little far off that base. So we have this idea that maybe he may have pulled his foot or something like that. Take a look at the timing of our umpire here. His eyes are on the play. There's a little bit of contact between the runner as he comes back into second base and the second baseman. Our eyes are still on it. We confirm firm and secure possession. Take a look at the eyes of this umpire here, and then we go ahead and bang the out. Again, great look at the proper use of eyes. We take a look at it, make sure he's held onto the base. Timing is good. Proper use of eyes to confirm firm and secure possession, and then make the out call. So proper timing is a function of proper use of eyes. Tag play is another great one here. So here we have a steal play at third base. Let's watch our umpire's eyes. Obviously, they're down on the play, watching this one develop. But as you see here, his eyes go straight to the glove. Right before he makes his call, he confirms firm and secure possession, and then bangs the runner out. Same umpire, different clip, same fundamental. Pretty easy call here that the runner is out. Now watch the job of this umpire in his eyes. He views the play, takes a look right in the kid's glove to make sure here that he has firm and secure possession, and then makes the out call. Great use of eyes here, great timing displayed by the umpires in these clips. Last one here is a little bit more challenging. Remember, we said that we want to build these habits in the routine plays. That way, when we get to the close, exciting plays, and here we have a scoring play, and this is actually a heck of a play made by this pitcher, we are actually able to default back to those habits, rely on those habits, and that way we look good. In this case, it's on ESPN. So here we have a steal play at the plate, pitcher's covering, and we have a whacker right here at the plate, right? This umpire does a great job of taking snapshots and using his eyes properly. And as we see here, he goes, eyes right here. If we find his eyes, they are right on the glove to confirm firm and secure possession. Great timing demonstrated. We call an out. And again, look how close this play is. Fantastic job here by our umpire to use his eyes properly. Gets great timing, gets great information, and then makes a really nice, clean call. Now, the last thing here to go ahead and mention with regards to proper use of eyes. How do we go ahead and improve our proper use of eyes? The answer is very simple, and the same is true with our habits. We've got to make sure that we take advantage of the routine easy plays. And if we want those to become a habit, we've got to make sure that we take advantage of the routine plays. That way, when we get to the exciting ones, we're defaulting to a habit that's already been built. So on every catch, every force, every tag, every pitch, everything that seems to be relatively innocuous, instead of being lazy through it, take that opportunity to intentionally and purposefully use your eyes. That way it becomes a habit. So when the chips are on the table, you look great making the calls as our umpires did in the previous slides. Chest to ball is our next clip, our next point of focus. Pat, it's all yours.
So chest to ball, what does chest to ball mean? So rather than anticipating a throw or a play, umpires must let the ball turn and take them to the play. Umpires should always be open to the ball and allow the ball to dictate their approach to the plays.
Why is chest to ball so important? It gives us efficient movement, right? So remaining chest to ball allows umpires to see all critical parts of the developing play and allows the ball to take them to the play, arrive at the right time, at the right place, and in the right position. It goes right back to that snapshot theory that we talked about earlier with proper use of eyes. Chest to ball will enable proper use of eyes, and it allows us to see all critical parts of the play. That means runners touching bases, fielders that may be obstructing runners, our partners rotating or failing to rotate, making sure that, hey, we don't need to cover third, or they're not rotating, I need to cover them. And then coaches interference. If you see a coach, shoving a kid off a base to run home, chest to ball, if we have the chest to ball or chest to play, that will enable us to see all those things.
Got a few clips here to go ahead and exemplify this for us, Seth, and everybody else. Keep on going here as we talk through these clips. So Seth, here's the first one.
So our first play here, we have a rope to right field that the right fielder might be making a play at first base. It's very important here that the first base umpire is aware that she might throw that ball to first base. As you can see, he is not looking at where the ball's at, and he's pretty much directly in that line of throw. So if she comes to throw up and wheel to first base, there's a good chance that he might take the ball. If we stay chest to ball in that, we'll allow that throwing lane to be open, and then we'll let that throw happen and then be able to see that potential back pick.
Pickoff play and the ball goes in the left field. Take a look at the job of the third base umpire. Seth, keep going.
Yeah, so they overthrow third base, and this guy never turns with the ball. There's really nothing for him to watch at this point other than the ball. He doesn't have a runner leaving early in this situation. He had no play. There's no reason for him to be looking at third base. He should just turn with the ball, open up, and allow that potential throwing lane to happen. And spoiler alert, further in the video, we'll see something happen to where he doesn't.
Yeah, here's that clip.
Yep, and this is the one I just hinted at. So we're going to have an overthrow to third base. And what's going to happen is the play is actually going to come back to third after this runner leaves. And again, we see he's not watching anything he needs to be watching. And what he needs to be watching is the ball coming in. And the throw is actually going to take the fielder basically into the umpire. And he has no idea. He's got to duck out of the way. Again, if he stays chest to ball, he knows when the ball's coming. He knows when the throw is going to happen, and he knows when where he'll be able to go to get that potential play into third. Here's some good clips. This is from umpire school a couple years ago. So keep an eye on the base umpire here. We've got a ball hit. It's going to go up the middle. And as you can see right now, he's already chest to ball, watching the ball. He's got the throw coming in over here towards first. Okay, has his call. And then we have the throw back to third, first to third play here. And again, it's not his call, but it's important to know that I've already done my action at first base. Now I need to shift and follow the ball and potentially take in information that my partner could miss on their play at third base. So staying with it, even when you're not involved, is a very good way to practice chest to ball.
We talk about snapshot theories too, about critical information. Obviously, that's runners touching the base, as Seth mentioned. It's a possible obstruction, possible interference, but it's also making sure our partners are where they're supposed to be too. So this snapshot and that chest to ball allows our umpire here to keep his eyes everywhere he needs him to be. And again, the ball takes us to where we need to be. This is great fundamental mechanics by both umpires on this field.
Mm-hmm.
Another clip, the umpires here in C. Keep going, Seth.
Yep. So again, more ground balls action. He comes in, he sees, okay, throw's going over towards first, it looks like. I've got it. And again, we have the same play here, back over to third base. And again, he just pivots with the throw, keeping his eye and his body to where that ball's at.
A lot of times when umpires struggle to keep chest to ball, it's on those infield ground balls. Now, obviously on the 60-foot diamond, when we're positioned behind it, it's a little bit easier. But for those of us that work big diamond, either the 57 diamond or the 90-foot diamond, sometimes in the infield ground ball, we fail to pivot with it or open the gate, if you will, here. So here's a clip at least of how exactly we need to remain chest to ball, even on infield ground balls, as we saw put in front of us in the previous clips. Seth, keep going here.
So we get the ground ball hit to the shortstop, and instead of, again, like Stu said, opening the gate, sort of like we would with a pass ball to the catcher, they just continue to step inwards, and they have no idea that this play is happening at second base. Right about here, after he's coming off the bag, does our umpire realize, oh, I have a play? He never sees any of it. So what we have to do in this situation is, instead of stepping forward, we want to just open the gate with the ground ball to our fielder. And then if we have to open the gate again to follow the throw, we open the gate. We just keep our chest to that ball. And if that means we stand in the same spot and spin in a circle, so be it. That's what we do. But it's going to put us in the position we need to see everything and be able to make a good judgment on a call.
Another area that a lot of times umpires really struggle to keep chest to ball in is pass balls back from the catcher. So just as Seth mentioned about opening the gate here, we've got another great example here as well. And Pat and Greg and Seth, whoever wants to take this one, feel free to go ahead and jump on in. I'll go ahead and let you guys go.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important that you follow the ball when you're behind home plate. You've got to know exactly where the ball's at. I mean, obviously there can be some, tricky bounces back there, and your number one priority is making sure you're not in the way. You've got to get out of the way of the throw to the catcher, and then set yourself up to be able to make a proper call at home. And unfortunately, in this scenario, the home plate umpire gets hit by the ball. So I think Seth mentioned earlier that if I was the coach, I'd be pretty upset about that. I mean, this is completely avoidable. And if he was, chest the ball, if he had, pivot back, take a look real quick, he'd be able to be in the right position to make the call here.
Mm-hmm.
It should be your top priority for everybody to get in and out of the game safely. The players, you want everybody to get home safely. But I think really you need to, as an umpire, you need to take care of yourself too. Let's not get hurt out there. And one of the ways you're not going to get hurt is be chest to ball. because this is not an example of an umpire who's going to get hit with, going to get hurt by a ball here. His pride's going to get hurt. But on the 9-3 putout, for example, we saw in the first clip, that's an example of an umpire that could have bought one in the side of the head.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to keep our level of concentration up and stay chest to ball. And man, if you're the home plate umpire in that situation there, you are going to have an irate coach and probably an ejection. I would love to see how that would materialize after that on the plate that played the wild pitch.
So we're clear here on this. Just as Seth mentioned, we should be opening the gate. So here's another great example of an umpire who kind of gets out of the way, but at the same time backs up in the way. Chest is not to the ball here. So we should open up so that the chest is to the ball. And that way we afford freedom of movement for this throw, as Pat mentioned, as Greg mentioned, and as Seth has mentioned, back to the plate. And the final example here does a really good job of displaying this. Here we have a pass ball to the catcher, and this is what we mean by opening the gate so that we stay chest to ball. This one goes to the screen, and then take a look at our umpire. He moves with that catcher's shoulder. So the catcher in this clip, if you take a look at, when we get back to it, he moves his right shoulder. Our umpire pivots on his left foot, opens his right foot, chest is to the ball, stays close, and then is in a great position to go ahead and make a play. Again, it's your safety that Greg mentioned. It's for optimal viewing angles and positioning that Pat mentioned. And it's so that we see all factors of the play, as Seth mentioned here, keeping chest to ball, whether it's an infield ground ball, the ball's out, or in this case, it's a pass ball, a really imperative fundamental here that we must go ahead and build in those innocuous, in those seemingly just pointless plays. That fundamental builds and then ultimately translate for something such as a close play here. Speaking of plays at the plate here and scoring plays, the wedge progression is the next phase of focus here for us to go ahead and talk about. What's interesting is all of us are probably most excited about the wedge and the progress that everyone is individually making on the wedge. But again, where we are going to step on the field in 2021 is going to be in a drastically different place than probably where we were in 2019, myself included here in the wedge progression. So really all we want to do here is remind you that everybody is on their own wedge journey, including the four of us. We're all in a different place in our wedge journey, in our wedge progression. And it's just important that we progress day by day, game by game, rep by rep. And again, the more we can take advantage of the easy plays, the routine plays, the better off we're going to be. So let's revisit some of these wedge progression fundamentals here. We'll talk through them as a committee here to make sure we're in good shape with each of these, just with some video here and kind of remind us of the three major steps or the major phases of things as well. I'll go ahead and lead us off, and then I'll pass the torch on to everyone else here. I think one of the biggest first steps for people to make in their wedge progression is to start closer. And in talking with so many people about their individual wedge journeys, this has been the number one step for them to take, the first phase, if you will, to go ahead and apply the fundamentals of wedge positioning. It's also step number one, to start closer. We want to start 5 to 7 feet from the fielder receiving the throw at point of plate. Okay, so the general guideline here, as you see, is to start point of plate 5 to 7 feet from the fielder receiving the play for receiving the throw, and that way we have the runner sliding at us. So step number one here is to start closer. That's the realm of comfortability here for us. Step number two, I'll go ahead and pass along to Seth here. Oh, the other thing here too, before I get it to Seth, the reason why we want to go ahead and start closer is because that gives us a greater viewing angle into the play. If you compare figure 1 to figure 2, the closer you are in figure 1, the more viewing angle you have, as opposed to figure 2, the further back you are in a one-step adjustment, you don't gain as much angle into the play. You take a look at the still shots here, they show the same. Figure 3, our umpire is actually in the wedge. We'll see this clip live here in just a second. But because he's closer, that 5 to 7 feet range, he's able to have a greater viewing angle into the play, as opposed to the umpire in figure 4, who is back on the dirt circle, doesn't have as much of a viewing angle into the play. So phase number one, step number one in our wedge progression or wedge journey is to start closer, 5 to 7 feet from the fielder receiving the throw at about point of plate. That way, because we are closer, that allows us then to gain a greater viewing angle into the play. Seth, step number 2 is yours.
So step number 2 is to follow the fielder, right? So what you're going to see here in this clip is as that catcher moves off of the line there, our umpire goes with them. And again, the easiest way to work on this is as soon as that ball's hit and you're the plate umpire, It's like you have a string from your belly button to the back of the catcher's chest protector, and you're just on that string with them, and you're just going with them the whole time. And again, this kind of goes, once, like Stu said, we get our initial starting distance of 5 to 7 feet. That's going to feel weird this year because a lot of us have been off the diamond, but you have to trust yourself and just know that, hey, that's the right distance. And then just stick with that fielder, wherever they go. And you apply this on the bases too. I mean, if you're, not in rotation, you can get in the wedge. Again, whatever fielder you have is your catcher. Just follow them, and because they're going to take you to the play, especially if they have the ball. They're not going to take you away from the runner. They'll take you into the runner, and then they will help you find that wedge.
So step number 1, start closer, 5 to 7 feet from the fielder receiving the throw at point of plate. As Seth mentioned, step number 2 is to follow the fielder as he or she goes to receive the throw. I'll let Greg and Pat here go ahead and hit step number 3, which is to stay in the window here as everything comes together. So here's our clips.
So this is a great example of what I would almost say a perfect wedge. He's in the right position. He gets really close. He's stepping into the call. The throw comes in. He is exactly where he needs to be. And it's just an amazing call by staying in the window between the fielder and the runner.
Does an excellent job of using his quiet steps. I think he's on the plate side hip of the catcher, while the catcher is receiving the throw. He's at a great distance from the fielder. His head and his eyes are between the runner and the tag attempt as the play evolves and wraps up here. As Griff said, this is maybe we're very proud of this play. In the Central Region, we show it a lot, but I think it's for good reason. And I think it's textbook. This is a great job by the home plate umpire here.
To Greg's point, it's textbook because he puts all 3 of those steps together. This umpire does. He starts 5 to 7 feet from the fielder receiving the throw. You see this fielder goes up slightly to the first base line, a movement that our umpire mimics. That's exactly what Seth talked about. And just as Greg and Pat mentioned here, he continues to step. It's quiet steps. They are controlled steps. Continues to step into the window to, as Greg mentioned, keep head and eyes between the runner and the fielder at the point of tag attempt. Again, moving from point of plate, adjust with the fielder, and then step number 3 here, stay in the window. Use those quiet steps to stay in the window between the fielder and the runner. Bonus point here is proper use of eyes. Same umpire, another really close, exciting play. Remember that we want to take advantage of the opportunities of routine plays so that when they're exciting, we default back to those habits. So proper use of eyes also continues here. And if you want to add that as the bonus step number 4, that's right here for our wedge journey. Don't let the excitement of the play and your proximity to it speed you up and force you to go ahead and abandon the fundamentals. Again, great fundamentals here by this umpire. He's 5 to 7 feet from the fielder. He's adjusted with the fielder, and he's going to stay in the window. But as we see this play unfold, let's watch his eyes, because this is what we want to come back to with proper use of eyes. So he definitely sees all parts of the play that he's supposed to see. But if you take a look at it, the catcher goes to hold the tag up, and where are the umpire's eyes? They are down, and they stay down. Instead, with this bonus clip, we should see his eyes come back to that fielder's glove, confirm firm and secure possession, as we mentioned earlier, and then go ahead and finish the out call. Okay? Great initial fundamentals of the wedge. Just that bonus here, don't let our fundamentals go awry. Get back up, take a look at that glove, confirm firm and secure possession, and then go ahead and take the out that's there. Seth, a couple things here about how to get better at the wedge here.
Yeah, so again, student mentioned, taking advantage of the routine plays, right? On the plays where you don't necessarily have a play incoming, but you can work on, getting that distance, following that fielder, mimicking their movements. And then when the play does happen, say, okay, now I need to use my quiet steps, getting closer and see what I need to see. We develop habits by taking advantage of the easy stuff, the easy plays, so we can practice executing the fundamental steps. And, again, create opportunities to step it out, find a spot in your house, in a parking lot, or just talk to fellow umpires and, review film together. I mean, having a film watch party is an excellent way to, just stay in the mindset of, officiating a game. And then, go back and watch all of the stuff that, we've put on YouTube, that Stu's put on YouTube, and then just, avoid the tagger plays at the plate compilations on YouTube. That's a great way to just, digest some film and say, okay, this is what that umpire did. What would I have done? And just mentally walk through, finding that wedge and making the call. It's a great way to work on the wedge when you're not actually on the field in action.
Our final focal point here is being a supportive partner and displaying empathy. Pat and Greg, go ahead and hit us on here.
Yeah, so being a supportive partner, this is, we're in uncharted waters here. Everyone's been affected by the pandemic differently, and people have different views and emotions as a result of it. And we need each other. We need in person, we need to see each other again. Virtually, I think we've done a really good job of staying in touch with everybody virtually and on social media. The support groups on social media are very important. And connect with, be happy for, and lean on one another. Now's the time to be a true team, and be together and be supportive of one another.
Well, great point. As far as displaying empathy, we do have some bullet points here. Certainly, leagues in baseball and softball will look different in 2021 as we get back to normal. Start to inch back to normal. Let's try to remain patient and flexible because everyone juggles different protocols. There will probably be game cancellations and rescheduled games in games that are canceled at the last minute. You're going to have to work with your leagues on that. Find joy and appreciation in returning to the diamond, to be a small part of the game that you love, along with some great people. You're going to see when you go back on the field of play early on. I think you'll notice a difference, especially if you didn't officiate last year. You'll notice a difference. You'll notice kinder and gentler people. I believe you. I just went through a basketball season, and I really felt that early on. You're going to notice everybody working together a lot better. Now, as the season goes on and districts come along and the tournaments come along, that's we're going to probably go back to the way it was a little bit more as far as like how people behave, I believe. But you're going to I really do believe, and I'd love to hear your stories as your season starts back up. So just find your joy and appreciation, and try to notice and maybe take some mental snapshots, I feel, of these games as you get back to work in these ball games, and see how different it is than it was pre-COVID-19.
Just go ahead and summarize here things for us one more time, pull us back, and then we'll all kind of share out our last final thoughts here. Again, these are our 5 major focal points. Number 1, use 2021 to sharpen those habits, fundamentals, and skills. And again, key point, take advantage of the easy routine ones so that you can build those habits back and get you where you want to go in the avocation. Second, proper use of eyes. We talked about that consistently throughout the film here so far today. Chest to ball, a very important yet easy fundamental that we can't take for granted, but is necessary for us to be where we need to be, see what we need to see, and officiate the way that we need to. Fourth, our wedge progression, there's 3 different phases. Start closer, adjust with the fielder, and then lastly, stay in the window. Bonus, remember, was proper use of eyes, reverting back to number 2. And then lastly, as Greg and Pat just mentioned, really focus on being that supportive partner, that person that's going to display empathy, not only for our fellow umpires, but also for what leagues and things like that are going back through. An exciting time for all of us to get back on the diamond. We're all really excited about here for it as well. So in closing here, just want to go ahead and give us an opportunity, all 4 of us here, just to kind of share out one final thought to lead people on as we go ahead and see our umpires take to the diamond here in the next month or so to start back their 2021 seasons with Little League Baseball and softball.
I'll go first. I think that if you have not worked wedge theory, it is trickling over into softball, hopefully. Let's keep an open mind about it. And I do believe we touched on this, maybe we didn't, but start working the wedge. Start thinking about that on the routine plays. Just think about your position when there's no chance of a play at the plate. Just think about where you're going to be initially, because it'll start to become muscle memory. It's a little harder with two-person mechanics. You have other responsibilities. You've got catch, don't catch, fair foul, and so forth. But you might have to move a little bit back there. But if you find your way back there, or if you don't have those responsibilities, start thinking about that right now. And I think if you take that away, and also our talk about empathy, I hopefully we'll all be a little kinder and gentler, at least initially, on the ball field, as we return back to some form of normalcy. At least I hope so.
I'll go next.
I would just say, when you go back out on the field, one thing that I think gets overlooked a lot, make sure you remember character, loyalty, and courage. That's the reason why we're here. And you're going to have a lot of kids that are going to be playing their first ball games, hopefully this spring. You're going to have kids that haven't played in a couple of years. So I think if we keep in mind why we're doing this, we're doing it for the kids. I think that's one of the big takeaways moving into this year. It's going to be very humbling starting out, and I think we don't want to lose track or focus of the reason why we're really doing this.
For me, it's trying to not do too much on the field. I was doing a scrimmage game last week, and I felt myself always constantly trying to move somewhere and get to a position. And, it kind of goes back to what we talked about with proper use of eyes and chest to ball is, if you have your chest to the ball and you're using your eyes properly, you're going to get to the play. It may not happen immediately, but you're going to get to the play. So, don't feel like you've constantly got to be moving somewhere and, trying to assume where a play is going to happen. Just watch the ball and it will take you to the play. And I think you're going to be able to see a lot more. And ultimately you'll get more calls right. And just by just slowing down and letting the ball take you to where you need to be.
Do not be guilty as you go back on the field of play of over hustling.
Yes,
that's a very common mistake. I too had a ball game this week, and the rust. The rust had to be very evident to anybody who has a trained eye. I was probably passable for the players and the fans, but to the trained eye, it's over hustling, use of eyes, everything. But it has been 2 years, and it's going to be 2 years for a lot of you.
Well, appreciate everybody's time and attention here to our release of our 2021 focal points. Those 5 things here to go ahead and make sure that we're focused on those habits and those fundamentals, building those back, chest to ball, proper use of eyes, the wedge progression, and lastly, showing your empathy to not only your partners and the support therein, but also those leagues. I think what we're probably most excited about is that we were really getting back to the fundamentals. And then as we see our umpires progress throughout the state tournaments, the regional tournaments, and ultimately send them off to World Series, it is those who really are great at their fundamentals that have the best success. And what greater opportunity here as we return to the diamond in 2021 to really hone in on those fundamentals and make some headway back to where we once were, but be patient, as we mentioned here, with that process. We wish everybody the best of luck here this season. Enjoy your time on the diamond. Stay safe and healthy. And we'll be definitely in touch here with future productions here to help you guys all advance and develop here throughout the 2021 season. Enjoy the time, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Thank you for being here.